Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, and I'm here to tell you that the top-selling free speculative fiction book on Amazon today is a story of EMP survival by an author who's been on our list a lot. But before we get to that, we got 4 other books to talk about, because every single Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of every book on Amazon's top 10 list. Oh, we used to. Today, we only did the top 5 books because it's been a day. Today okay. I was helped out by reviews assistant fiction editor Terrence Smith, marketing assistant Lilibet Dominguez-Torres, and community member Alex Mueller. And Terrence is here today. Hi, Terrence.
Hello.
The link to the article and to all the books is in the description box below. For those who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free to our readers. We publish original short fiction, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews like this one. We're able to do this and keep all content completely free thanks to our Patreon supporters. And we have 2 anthologies out, our Year One anthology, and just released our second anthology that just came out a couple weeks ago. So the links to both are going to be in the description box below. Whew.
Give us your money.
Yes, give us money. All the money raised goes to pay for original fiction. All right, first we have today's 5th best-selling free fantasy and science fiction books on Amazon, What the Heart Wants by Kelli McCracken, the first of 6 books in the Soulmate Paranormal Romance series. The other books are $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want, kind of like a Netflix for ebooks. So Lilibet read this for us, and she said that the story begins with Dylan McBride, one of our 2 main characters, who's having a weird dream about Armageddon, an angel, and a girl who might be the love of his life. He's transfixed by her beauty and realizes that his feelings and desires for this angel are stronger than what he's ever felt for anyone before. But, of course, she's not real. She's just in his dream. Then we meet Heaven, the angel that he was dreaming about. She and her sisters, Faith and Hope, are on a plane to Los Angeles to go to a friend's wedding. And just like Dylan, Heaven wakes up from a dream about a strange guy who's now she can't stop thinking about. But it's not the first time these strange dreams have happened. Her sister Faith starts teasing her about it and wondering just how hot this guy is, and the sisters fight, and etc. And then they land in Los Angeles, go to meet their friend who's getting married, try out dresses, and Heaven finds out that she's going to be teamed up with one of Chelsea's fiance's best friends. She knows he's not going to be the guy from her dreams. And then we go back to Dylan, who's at Santa Barbara, the beach where he grew up, and he talks to his mom about his dreams, and it turns out he also had these dreams when he was a kid. So Lilibet says the first 3 chapters were readable, they're perfectly fine, but she's not the target audience for the book. She doesn't really care about the fated mates trope, especially not in a modern day setting, and didn't really get caught up in what was happening to the main characters. But if you're into slow fated mates romance books, this is going to be right up your alley. All right, next we have a book that Alex Mueller read for us, Safe Haven by Christopher Artinian, the first of 11 books in the Safe Haven Zombie Apocalypse series. The other books are $1 to $4 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. So Alex says,
zombie apocalypse book.
Yeah. So Alex says it's kind of a grim book that hits a little too close, and it starts in a dark and depressing way. The main characters are a brother and sister who are watching their stepfather slowly die, and it gets worse from there, much worse. He's not dying of cancer or old age. Nope, he's dying from a zombie virus. So not only is he going to die, but he's going to come back to life as a zombie and go on a murderous rampage. So they're going to have to kill their own stepfather. And that's exactly what happens. So nobody in the story is having a good time. And it just keeps going on like that. So, however, on the plus side, the world hasn't descended into everyone for themselves kind of situation. Society is still intact, and there's measures in place to prevent the spread of the virus. But there's always the possibility that things can get worse, and that they do, because the brother might also be infected. So, Alex says this is an interesting take on a zombie apocalypse because the book is set before the actual apocalypse, when society is still functioning. So he says it's interesting watching society slide towards its inevitable collapse, but it's hitting a little too close for his liking. People who like zombies might get a kick out of this book, but he himself does not plan to continue reading it. Then we have
So it wasn't supposed to be based on a true story.
Yeah. So this is Steamborn by Eric Asher, the first of 7 books in the Steamborn series, which is a steampunk book set. The other books are $4 each, and they're not on Kindle Unlimited. And Terrence read this one. Terrence, what'd you think of this book?
I was really getting into this book. It kind of reminded me a little bit of this one underrated animated Disney movie called Treasure Planet. It follows a similar protagonist, and there are steampunk elements in this story as well, except it's supposed to be our world in the distant future, where it's basically the post apocalypse essentially, and the protagonist is in this town where the privileged are closer to the center and have these high stone walls to keep the invading giant insect creatures out, and the outskirts are where the other classes live, and their wall has fallen into disrepair, so they're more vulnerable to these invaders. And I thought the protagonist came off as likable. He's a pickpocket, but he's not just doing it for himself. He's also trying to help out this eccentric old scientist that he works for, because by working for him, he's supposed to be able to help pay for helping his ailing father. And what's going to happen later on is that once a huge insect invasion happens, he's going to go on this journey and uncover a conspiracy. One thing I also like about the protagonist is that he's there was this one moment early on where he notices this spider-like creature on his shoulder, and he just lets it sit in his hand for a moment and just puts it on a shelf, and his employer slash mentor isn't so fond of the creatures, and basically just tells them, hey, it's not dangerous. Sorry, that was didn't mean to drink coffee during my review. But anyway, I really do like this world. I am a bit curious about what happens next with the story. So it's one of those books that are still on my ever growing to read list. And if you read it for free on Amazon and you like it, then you can also purchase it and the other books in the series on bookshop.org. And the first 3 books are available in a bundle on howlsbooks.com as well. So support independent bookstores. Those are some options for you.
All right. Okay, so let's get to book number 2 on today's list. Let's make that bigger for you guys. It's Stalking Their Mate by Tamsin Baker, the second of 5 books in the Perfect Pairs paranormal romance series. The other books are $4 each, but they're not on Kindle Unlimited. And we reviewed the first book in the series, Prowling Their Mate, this past June. So I'm going to talk about that book, not this one, because I don't want to give away any spoilers. So I'm not a fan of romance. I've got a cold heart. And I'm also not a fan
love
of
watching
books.
people die.
I like watching people die. Yes, I like the woman kill her enemies, not fall in love with them. But
Crush
anyway,
your enemies.
so here, she's not only has a fated mate, which kind of creeps me out because you should be able to choose your own mate, but she has 2 guys. That just seems like way too much work and too much trouble. So I have a hard time getting into this genre of book. This is kind of like the Anita Blake books, where Anita Blake starts out as a vampire hunter, killing people and vampires and other monsters. And then over the course of the series, she acquires more and more boyfriends. And by the end of the series, she's spending all her time dealing with relationship drama. And I'm like, go back to killing things. Dump all these guys and go back to your true passion, killing. But anyway, I digress. So this is Stalking the Mate. And Tyler has a twin brother, non-identical. They're in their early 30s. They should have found their mate and had a family. They're mountain lion shapeshifters. They live in a small town in the Canadian Rockies. And since they're twins, they have the same fated mate, which is even creepier than the whole dating 2 people at once. She's going to be dating 2 twin brothers. At least they're not identical. Anyway, so
Can we just be like, I have a suggestion. This is sounding a whole lot like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. So some writer just needs to go do The Bachelor or Bachelorette, but with all paranormal creatures.
yeah. Well, now that you've said it out loud, probably somebody is pitching it right as we speak, or writing a book about it.
Idea's copyrighted. I claim copyright.
You can write that book. That could be your breakthrough novel. All right. So back to the book. So Laura is their fated mate. She's a veterinarian, and the brothers have to find opportunities to get close to her and try to like become friends. And she's human, so they don't want to scare her off. So I've seen this plot before. I do not enjoy this plot, but the book is extremely readable. So if you do like this plot, it's a great book for you to check out. Then before we go to book number 1, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Marie Leclerc, Humphrey Price, Alexander KOROLOV, Avery Parks, Terrence Smith, Brad Center, David Perlmutter, Anastasia KOROLOV, and Amira Lutfi. Thanks, you guys. We wouldn't be here without you. And now on to the number 1 book on today's bestseller list, Desolations Diary by Colton Lively, a standalone book of EMP survival. Colton Lively is on this top 10 list a lot. So EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. I am not a fan of these books. So the premise is that a pulse blast takes out all the electronics. So your radio stop working, your modern cars stop running, electricity stops working, you know, all the modern technologies come to a halt, cell phones, all that stuff. So apparently this is a very popular hope for people. And often with these books, society immediately starts to collapse and people have to defend themselves from gangs of attackers. So I'm not a fan of these kinds of books. A, it hits too close to home. B, it has a very pessimistic view of humanity. So anyway, this book starts out with Mindy and Nick, who are twins. They're in their early 20s. They've recently lost their parents. They're on vacation in Florida. They've been there for a couple of weeks and are now about to go back to Michigan. They have a farm and one of their horses is about to give birth to twin foals. So Mindy talks to her property manager on the phone. She's got a crush on him. They talk about politics. Something weird's happening in Russia. And then we find out that the weird thing that's happening in Russia are these weird blackouts that are spreading across the country and nobody knows why. And Russia is trying to figure out who to blame. And then these blackouts spread to Alaska and Canada. And so Nick and Mindy discuss what they're going to do. Mindy thinks they'll be fine because their farm has generators and solar power. But Nick, of course, thinks that society will collapse and they have to prepare because he's super paranoid. So they get in their car and start driving home. And because Nick is paranoid, they get cashed and stock up on food and supplies and gas just ahead of all the crowds. So the book is very readable. I could see why it's at the top of the list, but it's not my kind of book. When I read for fun, I want light escapist fluff or light murdery, cartoonish fluff.
Light murder? You mean heavy
light murder,
murder?
like, you know, James Bond kind of murder, like, you know, not really.
Yeah, she loves seeing limbs flying all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. Not anything like too realistic or not anything that could actually happen. So like Alex said about the book he was reading about the zombie apocalypse, it cuts a little too close to home, so I won't be sticking with it. All right, so that's it for today's Free Friday list. Terrence, thank you for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'd love to see you next week. Bye, everybody.
See ya.